Yes, you call that radio.
Brothers and sisters.
Is that you, Daniel? Are you before me?
Call that radio.
You call that radio.
Hello, yes, this is Dog.
This is You Call That Radio. That's me. That was some art done by the legendary Suky Goodfellow, who's about to join us in a little minute on You Call That Radio. Who we got here? We got Luz in the house, whistling in the dark. We got Ali in the house. Heat stroke in March, global warming, making the best of a bad situation. Trips in the house, echo. I'm echoing. Am I still echoing? It was almost hot enough today for heat stroke. Oh, it might be me, I'll shut up, yeah. Please do. Welcome to You Call That Radio. Suky Goodfellow is just warming up. She will be here in a little minute. And I'm excited about that. She should be here in a wee minute. Sorry for anyone who tuned in to the hometown promotion show that in Ragamuffin Records. That will be rescheduled. I think I'm just going to tell you who's on the show next week. I was supposed to do that later, but let's just tell you who's on the show next week. It's a big one. It is a big one.
Your call is very important. Please hold.
Yes, so next week on You Call That Radio, wait till you see this. Obviously, you know, next Saturday is the Building a Spring thing. So you know about that, but what about this? Do you know about this? This is new information. Next week on You Call That Radio, Captain Hot Knives open mic. Tuesday is going to be exactly a year since lockdown began, so a year since You Call That Radio TV began, and our first ever guest was Captain Hot Knives, who's had a lot of health issues. He got long COVID, and he's struggling, but it looks like he's coming back. I've been loving to see his live shows have started again. So we just thought, we'll get Captain Hot Knives and a few special guests. He's going to pick a few people, I'll pick a few people, and we'll have a kind of open mic night. So that's on Tuesday, a year of lockdown. On Wednesday, we've got Paul Vickers from Dawn of the Replicants, and Twonky, and Paul Vickers in the leg. So I'm excited about that one. That was actually meant to be the 24th of February, but there was a miscommunication. And then we've got the build up to the big one, which is getting the hype going ahead of the big one. Building a Spring, Esperanza. Well, I'm inviting everyone who's playing to come on the show. So that's Esperanza, Tom Maguire and the Brass Souls, Minerva Wakes, Nipples of Venus, Big Fat Panda, and also we've got the Hip Hop Hour as well. So you might see Loki, Kid Robotics, Sweet Rogue, Suzanne Carpenter, Stevie Creed, Johnny Cypher, and we've still got one more headline act to announce. So I'm buzzing for that one. That is going to be announced on Thursday. Well, Thursday is the build up to the big one. So, and then on Friday, Abdominal, who we had on the show before, but it's almost been a year since we spoke to him. The famous Canadian Toronto MC, absolute legend. I'm looking forward to getting him back on the show. And then Saturday is the big one itself, live from Capture Works. So yeah, I think we can now. Oh, who's that? Hi, babes. I'm tuned in, loving your decor. Love Baby Doll. This is drawn by our special guest tonight, who I believe we can go to now. Suky, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, I can. Sorry for the delay, technical issues.
Well, it was worth it. What a
Yeah,
setup.
okay. Oh, thanks. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it does look worth it. That's the background to that picture that you just saw, which I did the face, and then I took like 6 years to fill out this background. It's like, you know, so.
I've actually been looking, because there's actually there's quite a lot of your art in this house, because we've got this one. I'll make it full screen. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this.
Oh gosh, Twisteds.
In the background, look at that colour. That's quite cool. It's going through it.
This is green. I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah, so that's
got a bit.
Nikki and Joe from the Twisteds. And that was great. That was a night at the art school. Did we have?
Yeah.
What was the name? Late Night Sketchy. It was Late Night
Yes.
Sketchy. That was the
So
joke,
there's
wasn't it? That was
literally sketchy. Yeah.
and it was late at night. To be fair, as
Yeah.
well.
It wasn't that sketchy from what I remembered. It was all, it was wholesome fun, but I don't know.
It was good wholesome fun. I think we've got. There's actually. Well, you know, we can actually just see a bit more from that night, because I've just noticed. I was on your page there,
Yeah.
and I've got this. I've got the moods one here as well. So I think that was all the same night, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah. And there was Loki, and yeah, there we are.
Loki.
Yeah,
There's Loki.
yeah.
Who's that? There's
I'm
Loki.
not sure actually.
There's the
Yeah,
Twisteds,
yeah.
That's the one we just seen.
Was it Mickey Nines? But
That
they
was
played. Oh, Yoko Ono. It was a bit. I was.
Yoko
Ono.
Ono.
Okay. Yeah, every time.
Well,
I've
the
literally
problem
had to
I can't
announce
say
them on stage, so I said that.
I can't say Yoko Ono now at all. I always say John Lennon and Yoko Ono, and people who've never heard of the band just look like a mental. Like what a strange mistake to make.
Yeah, yeah.
And
It's
this
weird
is the-
with speech impediment. That's my dad.
Happy Potterversary.
Oh gosh. Well, that was before JK was cancelled, but
Oh, she cancelled. That's right. I forgot about that.
oh yeah,
She's
for several reasons, but
I just love that. I love these colours that you do. It's just amazing.
oh, thanks. Yeah, I
We'll
just
look a bit more art in a
Yeah.
little bit minute. Let's just introduce you first for people who don't know you. I was sort of struggling to describe you, because you do so much. So I don't know what I would say: artist, poet, singer. Also, I said comedian the other day as well, because I do think that there is some amazing comedy that comes through in your poetry as well. So you just do a bit of everything, really.
yeah. I gave up the actual stand-up shows because it's a bit, it's a bit harder to just do stand-up. It's better if you try and do something else, and then it accidentally comes out funny. Well, not accidentally, but
I get that.
yeah.
I've never done stand up before, but I love going to like if I'm playing a poetry night, just doing comedy for the full 10 minutes, especially if everyone else has been overly serious.
Yeah.
And I just think the mood needs lighting, and it's a great buzz to hear people laughing. But
Yeah.
I've never had the balls to kind of just go and do it in a comedy club, because what
It's
if
a
they
lot
don't
of
laugh?
pressure. Yeah.
At a poetry thing, it's just a bonus if they laugh, but I guess, a comedy club, they're there to laugh, and if you don't laugh, you've not done your job right, kind of thing. Scary.
Yeah, well, you got to find your audience. So it's tough for comedians to get started. I did do a couple of the Red Bull nights, which was a good experience, but kind of brutal, because like these people, they really, I think that a lot of it is you're going to see how bad some of the comedians are. So half of the audience might be against you, half might be wanting you to succeed, but they also might just not be your kind of people. Like, so much of comedy you have to relate to, be on their side, and like, what's the chance maybe like 10% of people would find you funny? It's probably not going to work out. But also it's best if you just start off telling a story and then it's accidentally or it just happens to be funny, because I think a lot of comedy is taking people by surprise. So it's very hard to take people from a surprise and make them laugh if they're sitting there saying, "Oh, well, tell me a joke then."
How do you? You've also. Well, I don't know how many bands you're in now. I actually should probably correct that because it's been a while since we spoke. But you were in 2 bands the last time I spoke. Is that still correct? You got more bands, less bands?
Less bands. So Voicex, I kind of called it a day. That was the one I was vocalist for, the post-punk band. So there's still stuff up online. I made a lyric zine and we released an EP. So you can still find those on Bandcamp. But it was just, I think the main guy, Paul Research, wanted to do some other stuff. And I guess during lockdown, it would have been really hard to keep it together. I'm really impressed that Fistymuffs have managed to keep it together, even though we haven't been super busy. We have just now, we're going to release, I think it's the end of the month, a song that we recorded in lockdown, which I didn't think we'd be able to do because we've always been a band that works things out together in the practice rooms. And whenever I come up with guys, I've got this great idea, I've made something at home of my own, I bring it to the guys, and usually I'm like, someone else does something, and they're like, okay, let's change the whole song around that. There's a lot of give and take. It's not, it's such a symbiotic relationship.
Suky, could you just turn yourself down a little bit and I'm going to turn myself up a little bit? I think we've got
yeah?
Just you down a little bit, I'll go up a little bit.
Tech person, can you turn the mic down a bit? We thought it wasn't working at all for a while there.
It's working very well, too well. In fact, some would say
it's working too well.
It's too well. We've got to lower it for us. Alan Rorison saying, great artwork.
Cheers. Is that better?
Yes, that's much better.
Okay.
Yeah. Amazing. Colette says, bro art. World says, baby doll. We've got, Mark, you're very quiet. Is that a wee bit better, guys? I've turned myself up. Let me know if that's okay. I suppose it's a lot of bands are just not doing anything at all. They're just having a break.
Yeah.
So I suppose it's good that you still managed to make a song appear.
Eventually. We did have a break, and what I did instead was I've made a music video, which I hadn't made one of those before, so if I watch it now, you can probably pick apart the editing a bit, but I just asked people to be dancing about in their living rooms, and I spliced it all together. So that was one thing. It's the thing you can do in lockdown is learn some new skills. And I got back to drawing a lot because that's one thing you do by yourself. Unless I'm drawing at Late Night Sketchy, which was really nice because drawing live to be part of an event. But most art is quite lonely.
I don't know how you exactly. See, to me, I love art, but I'm not very good at it myself. So I just see it as the witchcraft. Like, how can you make with bits of pen? I mean, that's Nikki, and that's Joe. I mean, I don't. And there's the Gyro Babies one is some. The Gyro Babies one's here as well, and it's just like you can tell every single band member, and it's just like a subtle little line there. You're like, well, that's definitely Robbie or that's Gordy. Although it's hard to tell because Gordy and Matt both look like each other for the guys, but we know that it was definitely Gordy. But we got a stunt double in for Gordy. When Gordy can't make it, there's a guy. We've got a guy who plays drums like him and looks like him as well. But how long does it take you to start making faces turn into real people? Like, going from drawing a circle to an actual, I recognise that as a person.
Basically, years and years of practice, I'm afraid. I definitely I've always really wanted to sketch people. I just remember sketching like my friends in the bus when I was a teenager on a school trip. I think the thing to do is just don't worry so much about making a good picture. You've just got to draw what you see, draw some lines, even if it seems like wrong, even if it seems like the person's head shouldn't be that shape. Just got to draw what you see and hope it comes out all right. So really sketching live,
It's always frustrating when the answer always is work hard and everyone wants a shortcut.
Yeah.
And easy cheat. to do it quicker. What about doing it, like, talking about live sketching? So normally a live sketch would mean maybe someone posing or for a but obviously with the late night sketchy ones, what you're doing is an actual band moving. I mean, that must make it a lot more challenging if everyone won't stay still.
Yeah, definitely. Although I think after people drawing after a while, you kind of get used to the idea that they'll probably move back to a similar kind of place where they were. Actually, eventually, you just kind of have to remember, you're like, oh, I'll catch them again when they come back. But I've always liked drawing moving things. I've told this story before on the last interview I did, so if anyone watched the Whistling in the Dark podcast, you might have seen it. But I always liked drawing the ducks at we're down in St Andrews where I went for uni. There was Kynasburn, and I led an art society trip, and I was like, guys, we're going to draw the ducks. And I realised not everyone felt that way, because after 5 minutes, everyone else was like, oh, let's go draw this bridge. Who wants to draw a bridge? It's so boring. But no, everyone went, apart from one girl who stayed with me, and then she decided, this is too hard. I'm going to draw my feet instead. But there we go. I think it's a challenge, moving target.
And with regards to Fistymuffs, I think we can maybe play a song from Fistymuffs, couldn't we?
Oh, that'd be great, yeah.
Just for people who maybe aren't aware of Fistymuffs, how would you describe Fistymuffs?
Riot girl, punk, in your face, political.
Have you ever tried
loud.
to ask Alexa to play Fistymuffs? I did earlier on today.
No. Okay.
So I was like, it's like the remote you've got to hold down, and you've got to go, Alexa. Well, we don't need to say Alexa because you just hold the button. But I couldn't. 10 takes, couldn't do it. It was 50 masks came up. 50 math.
Okay.
50 math and 50 masks. I don't know.
Okay.
Could
have been worse.
Could have been.
Yeah.
What
I know
about
a band called Childbirth, and it's their nightmare to get on YouTube. You don't want to see some of the videos that come up.
What about what tune from Fistymuffs will I line up?
Hey You, how about? Yeah, why don't you put on that video I just made in quarantine, if you can find it, for Hey You, and see all dodgy dancing around the living rooms.
That's great. And what are you using to edit stuff together?
I used open source software called something beginning with D, which comes up. I don't even remember what it's called, but it'll come up on those list of free open source software to download. It wasn't bad. It had quite a lot of options, really.
I think this is a good video because it's a year of lockdown, and this kind of sums it up ideal.
Yeah.
Brothers and sisters, may the peace that can only come from the one God be upon you. We are here to tell the people that we hear you. One God will not allow us as people of conscience to lose our morale.
Powered by our patrons. Amazing stuff. Hey You by Fistymuffs. I think this should maybe a competition for Alexa, because Lewis says I've just asked Google several times to play Fistymuffs and I had to stop asking when it showed me pictures of dusty moths.
Okay.
So maybe there could be a competition in the future. Can anyone, because I normally just put on like an English accent or an American accent, because obviously it's not really designed. But it doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. Alan Rodison saying loving this. And yes, much better as well. When was the last gig you played?
Oh God. Well, we did early 2020. Actually, early 2020. Ironically, we were saying, "Oh, we did too many gigs. We did 2 gigs, one after another." And they were like, "We need to take it more easy. We need to do less gigs." And then the pandemic came, and we're like, "Why didn't we fit in that extra gig?" So I think we actually might have turned something down, and then regrettably. So I think probably we did some February stuff. We did Wee Red Bar, maybe. So Edinburgh places anyway. Sneaky Pete's. It was Sneaky Pete's supporting Petrol Girls, I think. Oh,
wow, that's a good one.
That was a good gig. Yeah, it was a weeknight, but it was still a really good crowd. Yeah, which is not. He's getting Glasgow, but it was great. It was great. Yeah.
Amazing stuff. That was.
Yeah.
So did you say that was in Glasgow? That one?
No. Sorry, it was in Edinburgh and Sneaky Pete's.
Edinburgh,
I was
right?
just,
I was just confused. Yeah, Sneaky Pete's is a great venue, and it's in having a weeknight anywhere really. If you're a local band, it can be tough. But I mean, I think I don't know what's going to happen in the future. Do you think it's going to be a case of everybody playing at all the gigs and all the venues all the time, and everyone's just going to be out going to all these gigs? Will it be a wee bit oversaturated? I think we'll be okay for the first few months because everyone will just misses it so much. Yeah,
I think we're not used to going out as much. I think oversaturation will come fast. I think a lot of people, I think myself included, are getting a bit of agoraphobia in that when you are outside, you're like, oh, I better be avoiding these people. Oh no. Or if I wander too far, I'll have to get the bus back, and oh, that's not good. Did I bring my mask? So I think a lot of people might go out once and then feel overwhelmed, and it's going to be really tough to get back up to speed. It's like training again, like training for the marathon of gigs. You'll have to start doing that.
Well, I hope that's not the case, but I do know what you mean. It's a concern I've had as well. We just because everyone together in the same room, I'm sure it's going to be odd for a while. But I mean, we got used to this very quickly of having to put on a mask, and you get the sight of people with masks was very, very odd, and now it just kind of sort of nobody's that bothered about it. But,
I think socialization can be really tiring. It'll be like a drug when we first get back to chatting to people, and you're like, it's going to be so overwhelming. Just that rush of being like, hello. Everyone's just going to be high on their own endorphins of like, I'm outside. And then, they're quickly exhausted. I
wonder if it's going to like this conversation, because there's very few people that I've actually met in real life over the last year. I mean, my shopkeeper, he knows all my secrets. We've got the shopkeeper. He's always been there for me. So there's him, and then I've got a couple of people that maybe, over July maybe bumped into a couple of people. So it's the same couple of people that I've bumped into. So we've they know everything that I've been up to, because well, it's just this. And you can see what I'm up to every day. Every day every week I put a post up saying who's going to be on the show, and there's very little happening out with that world. So, but I suppose if you're meeting a new person, I mean, surely in a year even without doing anything, stuff's happened. Because stuff still happens to people.
Yeah, no, that's true. I think we will get used to it again quickly. It'll be nice that I think maybe we'll appreciate gigs again. I think I had the feeling that I was doing too much, and now I've had a break, an enforced sabbatical. I'll be really enthusiastic to get out there again. So that's a plus.
Taking it
We'll
for
never,
granted.
yeah.
We'll
never whine about Henry's toilets again. Even if the water's always cold. Even if there's the soap and toilet paper situation's got better.
I remember the block toilets were just fixed before lockdown began, and that was maybe the sign of the apocalypse, because I think the girls' toilets in block were always fine, but the guys' toilets were always really bad, considering it was such quite a cool, hip and happening place. And then just what's listen, I can't wait to get in a big sweaty crowd again. Well, that's it. I mean,
yeah.
will you just jump right in at the deep end, or will you kind of wander at the back with your pint and sort of look over?
I think I might be a bit cautious to start with, and I've been working in office throughout, so I've also feel a lot of responsibility to my co-workers not to be like the first to get back on it, or I feel responsibility to be more careful, so I don't feel like I can be the person to jump back out until other people have maybe tested the waters a bit, which is it's too bad, because I'm not necessarily afraid for myself, but
yeah,
well,
the roadmap that we were told last week was set in stone. The festival's will be back on June the 21st, and then it's just today we're hearing that there might be a delay in the vaccine. Who could have seen that one coming?
There we go.
I think it's still going to be a few more twists and turns.
Yeah, definitely. And Edinburgh and Glasgow, the most, the cities, there's probably going to be slower to recover than the other places. So I'm cautiously optimistic, really.
What if the festivals go ahead? Will you be going to the festivals?
I'm not.
Did you go to the festivals? Did you go to the festivals? I suppose like the kind of, the kind of festivals that I know that you go to, and myself is like.
Oh, the music festivals. I thought you were talking about Edinburgh Festival.
Oh right, no, that'll fuck.
What would that look like?
No,
yeah.
that won't. I don't want to see that happening. It takes too much organisation. No. But I think like the kind of sort of smaller festivals, I suppose that you could still go to a festival and still remain cautious. I suppose, because you can, a lot of these festivals are sort of lying on the grass and. Maybe, in your own area of the campsite and stuff like that.
Outdoors, everyone will have their own hand sanitizer, which I think we should be doing anyway. But, I think I would. Well, Fistymuffs had been booked to play Kelber in 2020 as part of the Skinnies lineup for the Pyramid stage, and that was a dream gig because Kelber was the first festival I went to. Actually, and went for years. It's my favourite festival still. And so it was definitely one of those gigs I'd love to play. So I think they wanted to rebook all the artists for this year, but I don't know. I don't know if it's definitely going ahead or not. I think it's maybe
Kilburn's really close on the, one, this little delay could set that back as well. I know that they're saying that it should be back fine by July, but maybe it's probably more. I think maybe Dune's moving to August. I think Knock and Gorrick's moved to September already. Lindisfarne's already in September, and I think you could get away with doing a festival in October, because I don't see anyone moaning about the cold this year.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah. I would be happy to wait another year, really. I don't know. I'd just like to see some little gigs start happening in my local bars, because a lot of them are already struggling as it is, the independent venues. Like Leaf Depot in Edinburgh is my favourite place to play. And they were fighting having to get pushed out by developers for years. They're the only...
It's a constant battle.
Yeah.
And good on everyone putting up such a fight.
Yeah. So I went for a few coffees in there when I was allowed to go support them, but we weren't allowed up in my gig space, which is where I really want to get. So if it does come back,
Leith Depot. So if restrictions were reduced or were over, and you could just book a venue, say it was, I'm assuming it'd be Leith Depot you want as your next gig back. Who would you have on your bill?
Ooh, let's see.
The comeback gig, the return of the fun gig.
Definitely. Let's see. We'll probably have the Farting Suffragettes. Other Girls Rock School bands is great because there's really community there. Girls Rock School is where we got started. Fistymuffs. We all did there's music lessons for women and non-binary people, and they're all beginner stuff. But it's just gets you trying out new instruments, and the great thing is you get to meet loads of cool people who just want to start bands, and that's why there's been a great kind of Riot Girl revival in Edinburgh last couple of years in a wee way. So I think my Farting Suffragettes, they bring, great fun. We have a good dance. I also, Lou McLean, who's actually released an EP in lockdown, which is impressive just now.
Lockdown in Leith. Lockdown.
Yeah.
Lou was on the show a couple of weeks ago. The EP's brilliant.
Yeah. And actually, Lou has been really good in keeping these GRS songwriting circle going. So I really enjoyed that. Is that we do like a Zoom meeting every 2 weeks, and we do songwriting exercises and writing lyrics, and then go away for half an hour and try and make a whole song and play it back to the group. And that's been really helping my creativity, really. You create something in a day, even if you never go back to it. It's really open to join if anyone, like women and non-binary people. Anyway,
how do they join?
So there's a Facebook group, which I think is the best way. If you want to express an interest, if you find that. If anyone has trouble, I'm sure you can just message me on Twitter, and I'll try and sort it out. Do that if you have any trouble finding it.
Sharon says, I've been to Leith Depot quite a few times. Great place. Do you know Maura Guinness?
I don't know if I do. Maybe I'd recognise them, but
maybe Sharon. More information maybe from Sharon.
Yeah.
More of a clue. And so with poetry, what have you found it difficult? Because obviously you write poetry. I've certainly not. I mean, I've just been writing lyrics down, but the whole point of doing spoken word to me is to hear the crowd reaction and hear how it sounds out live. So I've just not felt the notion to practice poetry in the house when there's no crowd, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I've really felt the same way, and I suppose lately I've been writing more personal poetry, and I haven't felt like expressing my feelings in that way because I really don't know what I am thinking right now about this pandemic. I feel like I say this, but I'm like, we've all been having a bit of a midlife crisis, right?
Absolutely.
Right? I say this, everyone will understand, but what are you doing with your lives? What am I doing with my life?
I think
what will we do when come out of this?
That's why the album that I'm making is called At This Point just now, because I'm trying to just basically disclaimer it with, this is what I think now. I might not think this in and about, and that's going to take the pressure off me a little bit, because normally I've got quite strong opinions on everything, or whether they're right or wrong doesn't really matter. I usually just feel quite confident in how I want to express that. But yeah, this last year, after about 2 months, I just stopped really getting hung up too much in the news and stuff like that, and try to just sort of live in the now and just not overthink things. And writing for me is about overthinking it. It's the opposite. It's about analysing everything and try to make it rhyme. So, but then I thought I can't not talk about lockdown. But it's going to date really badly because the news changes so fast. So that's why I've just kind of disclaimed that way. This is what I thought at this point. It's probably going to be a lot of shite in about a year. But I suppose that if anything, there's never been a better time to, I suppose, document something, even if it does go out of date.
Yeah.
It might be interesting for me to listen back in 10 years so that I don't
Yeah.
reinvent the history of how I felt back then, because, you know, I think we'll all be guilty of that. I'm sure there'll be lots of people who have had opinions that will not believe that anymore.
Yeah.
I know that it seems like the Bill Gates microchip thing's kind of disappearing a little bit.
I think I was wondering.
Donald Trump being Jesus, that one seems to be going disappearing as well.
Oh, right. I was wondering if it would be people will be looking back and be like, but didn't it, like the Second World War, didn't it bring people together? We were all having the same experience. And you think, I mean, not everyone was having the same experience. Not everyone is having the same experience. We're all experienced it in the pandemic, but it is all very different. Like, I find it jarring when I'm having to go out to work, but a lot of people who are writing the columns, say, in the newspaper are obviously journalists, so they're sitting out inside writing them, working from home. So, and my job isn't even like the worst thing to do. People working in hospitals and supermarkets, and yet a lot of people are stuck in home, and they're both kind of bad situations. But
everyone's suffering from loneliness. And then there's lots of other people who are overwhelmed with too many people in their house and small crowded apartments with their family.
Yes, that's
and
true.
You're just stuck with it, so you don't get a moment to yourself. And then there's, like you said, there's people, you're having to go to work every day. And then there's people who would just really love to go to work because working from home is just like, it's shit as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel quite lucky that I've been able to work from home, but at the same time, I want to go out and do stuff as well. Like, because if I've not got something to do, I kind of just work a lot. So and it's not as if there's nice weather. It's not really where I stay. There's not really many places to go for a nice little walk.
That's true.
So you're kind of just sort of, you're kind of barricaded in a bit. It feels like, I'd like a thing to do.
I'm lucky Edinburgh has a great range of parks. I got really into my local Loch End Park, but I also live in the most densely populated area of Edinburgh, it's supposed to be. So to get there, you have to there's people wandering around your streets. Like, why are they on my street? I mean, I'll get a bit of Tory it's my street.
Joggers running down and breathing out at you in a narrow street. What do you think of that?
I haven't experienced that much of it, actually. I don't think we're not necessarily a very fit street, I guess. Although, I have had to run to the bus a few days this week, but I don't know if people will give me dirty looks or not. I think it was fine.
Sharon saying it's been scorching in Fife today.
It
looked lovely.
morning.
It looked lovely. I stayed in because I had 3 shows today, so there was no point in me leaving the house.
I saw.
Apart
I'm not
from
a social person.
gigs,
Yeah.
I've been training for lockdown my whole life.
Yeah, fair enough.
And the Morag goes with Alan, whose brother Pete has the partnership for the depot. That is.
Oh, right.
So
Fair
yeah,
enough.
maybe.
Anyway, they're great people who are in the depot anyway.
It is.
Yeah.
I've been
Supportive.
there a few times, and just in for a pint as well. And I've seen a couple of good gigs there. I performed once. I think it was you might know. I think you might have even been there. It was a refugee fundraiser. It was quite. It happened quite a lot because I think Joe's friends with the lassie that runs it or something. Because I know that the Twistettes have played, and I know that Joe's done acoustic sets there quite often.
Oh, okay, yeah, they'd had what happened regularly. Yeah.
So I think
I'd love
she's
to
going
perform
be on the show.
sometime. They sound good.
So yeah, I think that she'll be on the show soon. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, so apologies about that. But I don't think I've actually met her in real life. But she's coming on the show soon. There's a new compilation CD or something out. I think it features quite a few of the girl rock school bands and stuff like that. So I'll plug that when I have more information about it. Suky, do we have another song that we could play for the people?
What do we have up? Well, do we have something off our first EP? Maybe you could do. This is the song we called Time. This is actually maybe a bit more upsetting lyrics. It's about an abusive relationship, but I think it got a lot of people found it quite empowering who had been through the experience, but just to like content warn it for people. If you can find it there, we've got some...
It's just Fistymuffs in Time.
Yeah, maybe the live ones are probably not such great sound, but...
And it's on YouTube, or am I going for Spotify?
It's maybe better to go for Bandcamp.
Bandcamp, perfect.
Or Spotify, yeah, they're there.
What's a good time to plug the Bandcamp?
Yes.
We'll play it off Bandcamp so people can see what it looks like.
That would be great.
So
I've just made some new stickers for Bandcamp as well.
And I have that. Yeah, I've got that here. So this is Time, and from the first EP. Go to Bandcamp. I'll put the link in the comments in case anyone wants to show support. And here we go.
Time. Staring at the floor, hear you coming in, slamming the front door. I'm standing in the kitchen, I heard the TV. When I turn around, then you hit me. Time. What I got me? Shut tight, when you grab my arm, the dread holds tight. I'm lying in my bed, staring at the wall. Hear you coming in, then I hear you fall. I'm lying in my bed, eyes shut tight. When you grab my arm, the dread holds tight. Excitement is bubbling. I'm sitting in my car with the engine running. Thoughts of escape, excitement is bubbling. I'm sitting in my car with the engine running. Now I'm driving off, adrenaline is pumping. Then I see your face up ahead of me. A look of surprise, I've said my goodbyes. Time! What I got me?
How do we educate our children to take their place in the economies of the 21st century? How do we do that, given that we can't anticipate what the economy will look like at the end of next week? Every country on Earth is trying to figure out how do we educate our children so they have a sense of cultural identity and so that we can pass on the cultural genes of our communities while being part of the process of globalization. How do we square that circle?
Strange mood of our time.
You call that radio?
Makes coherent sense.
Amazing stuff there from Fistymuffs. Go and support there's 2 EPs up there, fistymuffs.bandcamp.com. Go and get some. Louis saying, love this, very powerful lyrics. It sounds like an abusive relationship with an alcoholic.
Yeah, thanks. It's our first EP was like all the very like socially political lyrics. There's also one in there about more of a coercive control. It's about an abusive relationship, which is more insidious than that, but still a form of abuse. And but yeah, we've continued to be quite political. The next EP, which we did release in lockdown because we've been so long trying to release it, we just like we got to get it out. It was released in April last year. And the song's about gentrification, actually based around Leaf Depot really heavily, and it actually name checks the Drum Housing Group, which was the aggressors in the Leaf Depot case. That's what the developers are called. And yeah, the song about Why It's Not Darts, classic Riot Girl stuff. I'm really looking forward to our third EP. We were gonna record. We'd been in the process. We recorded the drums for This Job Is Killing Me with Edinburgh College, and I think we just got the stems from them, so we can actually finish that off at home now, because that song's just been going around in my head this last year, because now work is our only thing in our lives so much more. I've just been thinking, this job is killing me. And that's basically the chorus of the song.
I don't know what it's like. I mean, I suppose Edinburgh's slightly different from Glasgow in the fact that you can't really drive about Edinburgh anyway. Edinburgh was always busy with people, so it's maybe quite pleasant because Edinburgh is so pretty to walk around that with less people there's maybe a positive side to that. But yeah, with Glasgow, I mean, the traffic's just the same as it's always been.
Yeah.
Apart from the first month of March, when it was you could hear a pin drop. Everything else is just sort of, it seems like everyone's still working, everyone's still going places, it's just going to the supermarket. It seems like exactly what you're saying there is just the only thing that's not allowed anymore is fun of any kind or any recreational activities.
This last lockdown has been a lot busier than the first one. The first one I really did notice at first the difference in Princes Street, which I take the bus to go to work, and how the cyclists were having a field day. We could just bombing the whole of Princes Street on the bike. So at least it looked quite like they were having fun. It was just cyclists, buses, and a few ambulances actually. But you got quite used to it quite quickly. It was certainly a lot quicker to get around. But it's, a lot busier now. I was thinking about the pandemic is that it's been good for maybe getting repoliticized, because maybe we've spent a lot of more time inside to stew about things, and actually this pandemic has shown us what really matters, and we got closer to the friends we have kept in contact with. That's how I feel. And it also showed how public health is such a shared experience. We're all in it together, how important the NHS is, and if we had different government, we really could have cope with things a lot better, and we really could, I don't know, this is the perfect time to make sure the NHS is better funded.
Do you think
everyone's appreciating it?
Do you think that it's going to be harder for Tories to continue the stripping down of privatisation of NHS? Or,
well, honestly, I'm not sure, because if they're getting away with it now, what can you do? Because this is exactly the best time to fight back. We've seen how much the NHS give, but they seem to be still getting away. They're getting away with things, like giving all that track and trace billions to one of their pals, in which this is the perfect
billion,
time.
I think it was.
Yeah, no,
billion.
It's impossible amount of money.
And
it's
I think
impossible.
somebody said, you need to double check these numbers, so don't quote me on them, but it's something along the lines of that could have been $5,000 a month for every person in the UK or something ridiculous like that to stay at home.
Yeah,
and you need a track and trace. Because imagine you had saved up, like, you had 4 months of being in the house and you had 20 grand, and then you get caught at a party and you took the 20 grand off you. Then you would have a lot more to lose, and you'd be able to just start thinking about, your future. Okay, I'm just going to stay in the house, and what could be done with that money?
Definitely. I mean, it's the perfect time to get a basic income out to people. That also we wouldn't have worried about that stupid school lunches thing where people getting like half a carrot cut up. Like, just give people the money, like, to trust them. Ridiculous. And who's going to have to cook this one meal with half a carrot and stuff? That's ridiculous. But just give them enough money.
The conversation in America just now is there was a guy, a rich millionaire who I believe is in his 70s, was voting, told all the Republicans to vote against the $2,000 sort of check, the stimulus check, I think it's called, and because he was worried that if they got everyone $2,000, nobody will go back to work. And these are people who have had like $2,000. All right, I'm just going to retire on my $2,000, and that's dollars, by the way.
Ridiculous. Well, Andrew Lloyd Webber years ago flew back from America to vote in the Lords against, in favour of the bedroom tax or something. Ridiculous. Why?
And with regards to the protests as well, because obviously this week it looks like there's the bills going through of sort of stamping down in protests. There was all the protests last week in London mostly. We've had the Black Lives Matter protests as well. I mean, is that a sign of that people have had enough of certain things? Do you think that the anger will remain once people can go back to recreational things?
I think I hope the anger remains. There were protests in the last 10 years against the cuts and everything. I think it's going to be harder to protest. I've seen people saying if you can't protest peacefully, you might as well, and you're going to be arrested for protesting peacefully, you might as well protest violently. But that's very risky for the stakes. I hope there'll have to be a lot of funds for people's legal costs, especially with so hard to get legal aid these days. So I don't really have any the answers, really. I just hope people are able to fight back somehow. I'm glad the Sisters Uncut are doing great work. And there's Living Rent in Scotland, the tenants union. They're very important to me. I became so angry yesterday when I saw a post about a landlord, by the way, saying no DSS. Like, how can you discriminate from letting someone against who claims benefits? Fortunately, I looked into it and things seem to be turning the right way. That a court in York ruled that was illegal, and so that's making people in Scotland, also landlords, thinking, okay, maybe we're not allowed to get away with this. Which, of course, they shouldn't be able to get away with this. No DSS. The way phrase means it's not really okay, isn't it? It's such a way by the way, we hate benefit claimants because people don't really remember what DSS means anymore. I think that's the only time you see that phrase, DSS, is when people are like, oh, by the way, no DSS. Which means no benefits if you're a tenant.
Live and Rent are doing great jobs. I'm trying to remember the name of the 0 Hours guys that are doing some great work as well in Glasgow. Maybe someone can correct me that. But the guys were on Class Wars, Darren Loki McGarvey's documentary recently as well. Yeah. So they're doing some great work and just holding people to account. I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic that hopefully there's going to be a bit of a Weatherspoons boycott, because there's just really no excuse after what they did this year.
No, definitely not. Edinburgh Coalition Against Poverty I have a lot of respect for too, really. I think the great thing about them is they're definitely seem to be like on your side. It's like a lot of people, maybe like Citizens Advice for Shelter, will tell you how to keep within the law, be within your side. But I think Edinburgh Coalition Against Poverty will just be like, we're on your side. We will tell you what the best option is. You know, fuck the legality. This is how you get around things, which is, I mean, that's truly like supportive. On your side. Sometimes, so it's good. Sometimes the trouble with asking organisations for help is people can be making sure they're feeling they're on your side and getting their trust, which is a shame. But so it's good to have a lot of organisations that aren't necessarily getting government funding and just grassroots, so you can really trust them.
Well, that was it. I mean, the Citizens Advice pretty much got privatised, or it got a lot of funding from the government, which just seems like, you know, the Citizens Advice should be on the person's side, and it just seems like a backwards way of doing things.
I mean, it's good they get funding, and of course they should. It's just, it depends on the people involved, I guess. You don't want them reporting back. You want to make, I think I do know someone whose mum volunteered for Citizens Advice as like legal help or something. So maybe a lot of the people who are involved are all right. So I wouldn't say necessarily don't trust them, but it's not like the job centre, which you should definitely not trust them, which is actually one of my next songs with Fistymuffs. I once got investigated for fraud by the DWP while I was claiming universal credit, unjustly, completely. Like, it was just because they thought it said, this account was yours, isn't it? And I was like, no, it is not. I'm not keeping money for you. And they were like, well, if it's not, all you need to do, you have to prove your innocence. All you have to do is get a letter from the bank saying, no, it's not your account. And I was like, walked out of there completely anxiety, stress ridden. And like, it was such a terrible time. And also just running through my head, like, how am I going to call up the bank and say, whoa, they'll be like, what's your account? I'll be like, well, no, I don't have an account. That's the thing. Like, you have to send me a letter saying I don't have an account. What? That's that. They think I'm a mad person. So, fortunately, it turned out to be like a relative who they're too confused that I think we were both like, I think it was my sister, and we were both adults living in my parents' house at the time, but they were like, two Miss Goodfellows? That could never happen. But so fortunately she like gave me letters to get out of it. But it was so awful. It was, I just, you're so broken down as a benefit claimant. You're always like, please, sir, please don't cut me off. And so I have to go through that.
They're getting targeted to basically kick people off. So they're
and
incentivized with bonuses and other stuff. The threat of their job as well. But I don't really have a lot of sympathy for these people. Like, they're so awful. I think, and then a kind of quirk in the system meant like they investigated for the same reason, and I was like, really got this letter on a Saturday, and so I was like really stressed. I was like, oh my god! So I rang up the number he gave me to right away, and then it turned out I think it was some sort of his private mobile. So he was like, you cannot ring me on a Saturday, and I was just like, I had no idea what day it was. I was just completely still having an anxiety attack, and I was like, but what is this? Why did you give me this number? You think you're having a bad day? So what's a good way of dealing with anxiety? Do you think that art helps you, writing lyrics helps you, or is there other methods?
Yeah, definitely. So I actually am on an SSRI, which helps with anxiety now, which it does help. It does it's a bit, but I also did do art therapy through LGBT Health, which do a free counselling service. The wait list is quite a long time, so if you think you need it, do just get in touch and sign up. And it's a really great thing that they can offer that. And art therapy was great because I wasn't sure, because I was like, well, what's with this drawing work? I didn't really get the whole interpret your drawings a bit much because I was like, well, I remember what I was feeling when I do that. So I think I just use dark colours for when I'm feeling grim and moody, and like bright colours when I'm feeling a bit better. I'm actually very simple like that. But it was great in that it was just very relaxing, and also makes you a bit more comfortable about talking about difficult things if you have something to scribble on as well.
Petra says, Suki, such a nice person.
Oh, thank you.
Jerry Weston says, yes, tuned in.
Yeah.
Lou says, not to go back to work because you've been given £2,000. What kind of backwards thinking is that? That barely covers the cost of monthly outgoings for most people. Well, that's it. It's just absolutely mental. And the thing was as well is the irony is that this guy's a millionaire in his 70s, who's obviously way past the retirement age and way past the financial threshold that you need to retire.
No, ridiculous. What if we did get extra money? I guess we wouldn't necessarily have to go to the shops. We could maybe afford like home delivery, which still has to have people delivering it. Of course, it's not perfect, but maybe that's less risky if someone leaves it outside the doorstep or something.
There's an Indian takeaway in Glasgow that's about to trial drone delivery services. I don't know if it's just a PR stunt, but it was reported in the papers that drone delivery service. Okay. So there you go.
Okay, I don't know. A bit skeptical, I guess. Like, well, if someone shoots it down, thinking it's a, tasty. Oh, it's like tasty. Oh, tasty meal.
Yeah, well, that's it. All you need is a decent slingshot and get yourself. You win a curry. Yeah. If you've got a decent shot, you win a curry.
Some great cartoons going to be happening for Dennis the Menace and the Beano forthcoming there. Yeah.
Pre-Gablin can help, says Mr. Flibble.
Mr. Flibble?
Mr. Flibble says pre-Gablin. I think that's a painkiller.
Oh, right. Oh, I don't know. So I guess thinking of the Red Dwarf character. So I was like, yeah.
So what's the best way for people to keep up to date with your art and your music and stuff like that? You're more on Twitter than Facebook these days?
Yes, I guess I am, but I'm also quite. I do a lot of retweets of things, political stuff, things I find funny, and cute animals. But what's not to like? So yeah, follow me in there for updates. I've also got Instagram, so again, you might see a lot of birds that I take at the lake. Like there's this duck called Gilbert. We had a great relationship. And then there's Speckledy Head, and then there's Honker, the big honking a goose. But it's all good stuff. And yeah, Facebook pages, you'll probably just keep up with stuff I'm doing rather than stuff that's happening in my life. So take your pick, really. Take your pick.
Do you think you'd be able to remember a poem? Do you think that... Because I was actually thinking about that the other day. Because someone asked me to do a gig. And I was like, I wonder if I'd remember. Because normally you're always... even though I don't do spoken word loads, but I would maybe do it... I don't know, once a month, or maybe in a busy month a few times a month. So it was kind of stuck in my head, and I'm now wondering. I did do Jackal Trades at Capture Works the other day, in December, and I was really struggling to remember my lines, that's songs that I thought were ingrained in my brain.
I think I did have to do one on the fly at the last podcast thing I did for Stu at Whistle in the Dark, and I did remember one. If you want me to, I can try.
I would love to hear one.
I fancy doing the one with all the swear words.
Yes.
Which I knew you used to know quite well. That's okay. There's going to be lots of swear words, but...
That's fine. There's absolutely
fine. That's that kind of podcast.
It's
okay, well, let me just get in a different... enter the stage, by which I mean go over here. No. So, Sometimes I get angry and I want to scream, but I bring out the words and I wonder what I mean, because everything I'm saying, like it's a heinous crime, is the kind of things we like to do with our time. Yet all of our swear-words are pretty messed up. Sex positivity is out of luck. We say fuck like something is wrong, like we're ashamed of our vouchers and dongs. Fucking up should be the term for doing fine. Disrespecting sexually active women is out of line, and I won't tell you to stop fanning around, because a fanny going places is totally sound. You're a cunt, yeah, you totally are. You have so many qualities I really admire, like how you always know how to care for yourself, mate. You bounce your life like it's a vaginal pH. Calling someone a cocksucker shouldn't be a bad thing. Why should giving blowjobs be a cause of a defamation? Sex acts don't need to be exploitation. If having sex with a man is so degrading, what does it say of you, man? If you degrade the folks you're laid with, that's a dick move. It's what we'll say when someone makes a hard decision and things go the right way. They really cocked it up. They're an asset to the team. They made a dick move. That's the boss's wet dream, because they went there and they totally boned it. Not owned it, because sex is not about possession. That's not a good lesson, and commercialism is not what I find refreshing. A dick move is a good service and can be appreciated, making sure someone is righteously sated. They can't love anyone if you don't love yourself, they say. And if that means masturbation, I say okay. Every great adventure starts with self-exploration. There's no shame in autodidactic education. Look after yourself. It's good for the mental health. You're a tosser, I'm a wanker, because we're independent-minded. The G-spot is on Google now, so it's not hard to find it. You're a tosser, I'm a wanker. We're never too tense. Say it as a compliment. You know it makes sense. Oh, shit is a great thing because it's keeping you healthy. Detox every day. You don't need to be wealthy. Just get on that bog and let nature take its course. Everyone does it from shit to Inspector Morse. That shit, yeah. Shit like a functioning colon. Shit like having proper plumbing to put your hole in. That shit, yeah. Shit is everything great and everything I'm grateful for. Science and the welfare state. Shit makes the flowers grow, let the world goes around. Cause a load of crap is all flowing around. Shit happens. Come on and scream it. It's the creme de la creme. Rises to the top. You've all seen it. It gets rid of our toxins and it makes the plants bedding. There can be no better phrase to hear at your wedding. I now pronounce you legally wed. Shit happens. But I'm not saying we should never swear at all. Sometimes we need to shout and give a angry call, but we shouldn't call someone bitchy or hoary. Instead, we could just say they look like they voted Tory.
Yes. Amazing stuff.
Yeah, thanks. Great jingle. It sounds like Amelia Baylor.
It is Amelia Baylor, of course.
Yeah.
She's done two of them. That was the early one. This is the more up to date one. It's this.
Nice.
If you don't really know what's going on, there's a show that also doesn't know what's going on. Call that radio TV. You call that radio. Call that radio TV. You call that radio TV.
Shout outs to Amelia.
That was a great one, yeah.
Some nice comments coming in for the poem. Great stuff, says Alan. Petra loves the poem. Lou says, this is brilliant. I love a good sweary spoken word. And Lou says, Tory, the ultimate insult.
Hi.
So,
yeah.
Thanks
for letting me try that.
Oh, I can't believe you did so well. It's such a wordy...
I feel like,
as well.
Yeah, my mouth was a bit like, I'm not, haven't been enunciating things properly for a long time. Haven't been doing my mouth exercises. But
every time I get a can of Tennent's or I look at a fridge when I'm maybe choosing my beer, and I'm like trying to decide which one, I always get your Tennent's poem in my head.
Oh yes, Tennent's is a busy call of food. Tennent's, I tell you it is good. It doesn't come in. There's names in all the classes, and yet people call it crap.
Tenants in the morning, tenants in the evening. Yeah, so I love it. It's engraved in my head, and you should definitely you should be getting money off of those guys for that. I think. I
got a retweet once, which is an honour, but doesn't pay the bills, does it?
Thanks for the retweet, and this is my sort code and account number if you want to just send your tweets into my bank account. So yeah, everyone who's tuned in, thanks for tuning in. You go and follow Suky on Twitter. on Instagram on Suky Goodfellow Art if to see more of the amazing. In fact, actually, I've got a couple here as well. Joe's actually just in the middle of reframing these ones, so you might see if you remember these ones. It's quite cool with the green screen in it. With it
Yeah.
a bit of tracing.
That actually works for that one a bit. Oh yeah, that's it. From a building in Edinburgh.
Amazing stuff. And
I've also-
can people buy your art? How would they do that?
Well, I haven't got anything up right now, although I do design all the Fistymuffs merch, so I've done a t-shirt and a few stickers for that, which is pretty good. I've been doing some sketches lately for the Whistling in the Dark podcast of guests, so I thought I might as well show you. Oh, I also have a green screen on, I forgot that. So maybe if I, stand in
That
front
was
of it.
cool.
No, I don't know. I don't know how this thing works. But, yeah.
I've been
so I
enjoying
think
it.
That's
I've
my
been
favourite
enjoying
bit.
Some great sketches and that. So follow Suky Goodfellow Art to keep up to all of that. Shout out to Whistling in the Dark podcast as well. If you want to see more Suky, I'd recommend that you check out that podcast. I've not seen it.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to doing Joe soon.
Yeah, so Joe's. I think that's about to be announced, isn't it? Yeah, I think Joe's going to be doing a Minerva Wakes podcast.
I'm getting there. You remember when I dedicated my life to drawing pictures of the giant babies after I took a lot of acid at Knock and Gorrick? I do remember. I haven't done very well in it, but on that project. But I'll get there.
Tell people about that because I remember it was Knock and Gorrick.
It was amazing. It was like I had a great time, but also acid is like. It's not just really a party drug, it's an experience, and that was glorious. I was, crying with happiness, and then I realised that I needed to be somewhere at 7 p.m, 100 yards away, and I was like, it was 3 p.m, and I was like, oh no, I was having the little best time of my life, and then I was like, oh wait, my friend was leaving to walk up there, and I was like, oh, you have to take me with me, because I've forgotten the way. And he was like, oh, all right. And I was like, I have to go now. Oh, I'll never find it. It's 100 years away. Come on. So I went, and then it's a great place to do lots of acid because I had a lot of friends there, and I was like, I saw this friend, and then I saw that friend, then I saw the police, and I was like, I better hide. They weren't looking at me. It's more suspicious if you hide, just so you know, people. And then I made it there to the tent very early. I needed to get a glass of water, and they ran out of cups. And then she was like, do you really need this water? But then I was like, yes, because I couldn't get my cup. And she was like, oh, okay. I don't think I really need the water. I was just thinking of MDMA, where you need to drink water. And is that actually, it's very hard to die of dehydration unless you're on MDMA. I think it's just you don't need that much water. But
there's nothing wrong with being hydrated.
There's nothing wrong with being hydrated. Nothing wrong with being hydrated. Yeah, so that was a whole experience. I saw Crow. That was great. Before I really knew Crow. Yeah. Anyway, just reliving it all here. He's a great poet. Ernest. They were there at the front, and gyro beams came on. And then you got even more high. And it was like you were gods on the stage. And yeah, I'm not a religious person, so I knew it was all the acid, talking. Well, not literally. I wasn't hearing things like... I know people will, take things very literally when you describe an acid trip, and they're like, oh my god, it was like you are actually... And we're like... I still knew I was on drugs. I wasn't actually insane. I was just having all these religious thoughts, and I was like, oh, they're so high up on stage, and I'm so lowly. And also, it's just amazing. And also, it looked like you were kind of on escalators at one point above the crowd, all this light kind of streaming stuff. It was amazing, and you had such presence. So you always do, because you have a great stage presence. And I remember I didn't really comprehend sound though. It was just it was just a big rush of noise because the visuals were so intense. So I remember and then I remember I came down. I couldn't sleep because of insomnia, the acid, and I met you all afterwards, and I was less like, Oh, how silly I was then. They are just normal people. But I felt secretly proud that I was talking to you because a while ago you were gods to me. And then I remember there's this poetry night that Johnny Cypher were running a year later, and I was describing this experience, and then I was like, then fine, you got there, and it wasn't all like cracked up to me, and your face fell, and you were like, and I was like, no, I didn't mean it wasn't a good show. It meant I couldn't comprehend the sound. Like, I've been building it up all this time. I've got to get here. And then it was the meaning of my life to get there on the stage. And then I realised, I don't know what you sounded like. Because I just couldn't. I had no idea. It was an experience, but I don't know. So I just remembered also that I explained that very badly.
No, that is great.
I was like, not just your appearance. I had to see you again.
Is that roughly what we're looking like? That kind of.
No, not really. I don't know why I do that. I think that was more inspired by the whole experience, really. Yeah.
It was just a tribute to the trip.
Tribute. It's a tribute. Jess is just a tribute. Yes.
No, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And also, it's just like it's the best picture I've ever had of me. Not that I had many pictures done of me, so thank you very much. And
thanks for the inspiration.
There's a lovely the one we got from art school. I think that might be on the page. So go on Suky Goodfellow art if you want to see the rest of the amazing artwork that you're doing. When's Fistymuffs got the new song out?
End of the month. It's going to be coming out on Power, POWA. This is something set up by Siobhan Wilson, who's a musician, and my singer Ashley Muffs, who it's a Patreon. You can pledge to just as little as £1 a month to, and you get they're funding songs by bands with women in that talk about like what it's like to be a woman musician or a woman in music. And so this song's out either the end of the month or the beginning of April sometime, actually. Yeah, it must be end of the month. So I'm not sure the exact time. So just keep up on Fistymuffs. Has got Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. So you'll hear of it then. We'll probably get a clip of the best bits to share as well.
And if you can't wait till the end of the month, you can go to fistymuffs.bandcamp.com and acquaint yourself with the previous releases. Lou says, I wish I had that pick in my Gyro Babies calendar. See, Lou and Paul made a Gyro Babies calendar because they're wasn't in existence, so they've got one.
I didn't know there was such a thing. I'd love to do a calendar, so that sounds great.
Well, do you know, I nearly did a you call that radio calendar. I thought what I could do is just get 10 pictures from the year before, but it ended up just being like, you know, it looked like it was going to be a lot of work, and I don't know if anyone would actually buy the calendar, so I just.
It's not a great time to sell calendars because nothing much is going on. I bought my first calendar like last year. I was like, I'll write all my events on it, and I think that's what caused the pandemic. Really, I jinxed us all by buying that calendar.
Too much planning. I had a calendar that I was using every day during the lockdown because obviously I had guests on every day, so I had a wall chart and a calendar. But now I've got a new computer that's actually just got like a calendar on the computer, and it's just easier for me so I'm just using that. So I'm fine. I'm all good for calendars right now. But it's one of those things that I think people come up with the idea of calendars at the same time at the beginning of December, and it's too late. It should already be in operation. So maybe start working on it. But I think you should think about it. If I
like the idea of maybe
just pick 12 pictures.
I once in uni I handmade like two advent calendars for a couple of friends. Like, how did I have the time? Like, but anyway, I don't have them anymore either because I gave them away. But I'd love to do another one like that. Or I do actually know there's someone in Glasgow who hand makes advent calendars. Actually, I could show you one. I bought for my friend a Nicolas Cage one. They're actually pretty cool. I don't really know this guy. I just was like, I just appreciate the graft, you know, and the idea. It was just such a cool idea. It's actually gone behind this projector screen. Yeah, okay, I'll just. This is so. It's just what a cool idea. Like maybe we could commission him to make some of the Joe babies. Here we are. It's away in a cage.
Cage in a cage.
And it's got smaller pictures of Nicolas Cage in the doors. And he also does one of like Ian Beale, I think, from EastEnders, and Louis Theroux. And yeah, I mean, all the things, all the people you really want to see on a calendar, obviously.
Colette's saying, Nayin should be in your calendar, it's bad luck, says Baby Doll. Well, there you go. It's bad luck. Lou's saying that she's got a Nicolas Cage pillow. She's such a weirdo, though. Or my pal has a Nicolas Cage pillow.
Well, you should definitely get this calendar as well. I think they're up on Etsy.
I think she'll like it. I think she'll like that. And I just put my dental appointments on mine. I love a band calendar, though. Yeah. Well, hopefully there will be some gigs to put in your calendar before the end of the year. And likewise, Suki, hopefully you'll get that gig at Leith Depot soon. And thank you very much for joining us this evening. And good luck, and hopefully see you in the real world soon. Yeah, it's great to catch up anyway. Thanks for doing this as well. It's at least it's something to keep on our calendars. Something for the calendar. And if you do have a calendar that needs some updates because nothing much is happening, then on Tuesday we're celebrating commemorating a year of lockdown with our first guest coming back, the incredible Captain Hot Knives, for the Captain Hot Knives open mic night. On Wednesday, we've got Paul Vickers from Dawn of the Replicants. And Thursday, we've got the build-up to the big one, which is going to be hundreds of people on the show. On Friday, we've got Toronto MC Abdominal. And then on Saturday, we're going to be building a spring live from Capture Works with Tom Maguire and the Brass Holes, Nipples of Venus, Minerva Wakes, Esperanza, Big Fat Panda, and a hip-hop hour featuring Loki, Kid Robotic, Sweet Rogue, Suzanne Carpenter, Stevie Creed, the Brooklyn Scotsman, and Johnny Cypher, all live in real time, beamed into your living room. So I hope you can all join us for that. Thank you. Great chat tonight. Thanks, says Lou. Thank you, Lou. Thank you, everyone who's tuned in. Thank you, Suki. And we'll see you guys on Tuesday. There might be a secret show on Sunday. I think Minerva Wakes is cooking up something. We don't know for sure, but maybe see you on Sunday. If not, I'll see all you guys on Tuesday. Thank you, Suki. See you soon. Bye. Thanks so much.
Is that you, Daniel? Are you before me?
Call that radio.
You call that radio.
Hello, yes, this is Dog.
Oh, that, they do!